Morning. Thanks for joining me for the early slot. It's the smart choice because this is like an extra slot, and I'm on just before lunch, and it'll be packed. So, well done for braving the traffic. So, it's exciting times in digital marketing, I think, because I've been coming to these shows since the 90s, believe it or not, talking about enjoying and trying to understand and help people with their digital marketing. But for me, it's one of the most exciting times, probably since social media. Around 2008, I joined Twitter, and it's very similar with AI. Some of the challenges we face in how we manage it and what we really use it for. So we're going to be focusing on AI. This is me. You may know me chatting to some ladies there who use my books for their degrees. It's a nice thing about these conferences, doing selfies and having people thank me. There's a lady on the way over from the station saying she used these for her degree. So my day job is running Smart Insights, where I used to do a lot of consulting and training. Now I'm mainly helping our members manage their digital marketing and improve through our templates and courses. So it's been good. Yeah, this is what we'll cover. These days, no one uses SlideShare, so if you do want any of follow up on any of the recommendations, they're online if you do a search on digital marketing trends, and you can see all the content and a bit more. Nice to see the phones going up there. Okay, so trend one. Yeah, before we get into AI, I want to look at the broader picture of how businesses are using digital marketing. And we've been running a lot of polls, which, like this one that we did with the organisers of TFM, and it's always quite shocking, really, how far behind people are with their digital marketing, probably compared with where they'd like to be. So it implies you need to audit your capabilities and look at where you want to be in the future, try and find priorities to improve. So one of the ways we help with this, we've got these a download on our site with all these maturity templates, and I've identified here these 7 pillars of modern marketing, really. So these are all the areas you have to get right, and they're deliberately high level because often I think non-marketers don't realize how important, for example, having a content marketing strategy is, or having a data and insight strategy where you decide how to do your reporting, improvement, review. So I've got an AI equivalent to this later, and I'll ask you to score yourself. But on this one, I'm just going to show you the scores between 1 and 5, which is the most advanced companies. And this is where it's quite shocking, I think, that most businesses are rating themselves just 1 or 2 out of 5. And it's not like digital is new. It really shows how complex and fast-moving it is that people are, as they're running their campaigns, product launches, they're not getting many of the basics right. And this is very similar to what we've seen in other years. We also asked, where would you like to be this time next year? And this always makes me, I don't know, chuckle or sigh. I don't chuckle. But so you see by next year, the number of people in red, which are the very low maturity, has dropped right away. So most people think they're going to improve, but really they're not going to. Life's too difficult unless you have a dedicated plan and strategy. And this is what we advise, that you do need a detailed view of how digital is supporting your business and updating the processes. I'm going to talk about standard operating procedures, SOPs, later. That's how you do that. So that's trend one. Let's get into the AI. And this is really about 2 things: how you use it personally. So I was chatting with this lady on the way from Custom House about how she was using ChatGPT. I'll talk a bit more about that. So that can improve your day job, if you like. She was saying when she has writer's block, it's quite nice to have a collaborative tool you can work with, maybe if you've got a hangover. But more seriously, I think in larger businesses where it's more than a team of 1, you do need to think about how everyone works together to use these generative AI tools. Because if you don't, you're either going to be actually making your comms worse, whether it's SEO, email, website copy, or print copy, or you're not taking advantage of it. So my view is that you need a playbook, which is really a guide of this is how we should be using AI. These are the tools we're using and the prompt techniques. So we asked about this. This is where I'm going to ask you to a bit of interaction to try and score yourselves looking across the AI in your business. So 5 would be if you're like super sophisticated. With a lot of these, this scoring, really probably where you want to be is 3 to be using these tools effectively. Out of the way for the picks there. So yeah, I'm going to talk a bit about prompting, whether there's a playbook, or whether you're using some of these more advanced techniques where it's customized, like GPTs. So yeah, let's have a show of hands. Anyone here at 5? I'd be very surprised to see this. 4? 3? Good. You guys should be up here probably speaking about this maybe next year. 2. And 1. Come on, hold your hands boldly up. Yeah. It's new. It's no surprise. I said it was shocking that with overall digital, there's many at 1. With this, it's still very new and we're still all working it out. So if you said 1, you're probably where, well, you may actually be better than what we asked in the survey, where a lot of people aren't using these tools at all. Maybe they think their comms are actually made worse, or maybe they just haven't got their act together. We asked whether people are paying, and I definitely advise that to get the latest models and the most up-to-date data. This is pretty poor, I think, because if you are using, if you're part of the 50% who are using these AI tools, you really should have done some training, or you should have a bit of a playbook, a policy of how it should be used, I would advise. And yeah, finally, I was interested to see, because of course, if we're using ChatGPT or Google Gemini, Perplexity, Claude, I don't use that personally, there's all free options available, but they're very generic. They're not specifically made for marketing. So what I was interested to ask you as well is whether you use any of these dedicated marketing tools where they're actually set up for writing social media posts or writing blogs, emails, etc. So does anyone, show of hands, anyone uses these? Just a couple. What do you use, sir? The paid version. You tried the paid one, but you didn't think it was worth it. Yeah. Okay, and can you say which one you use? You use Jasper, and would you recommend that to everyone here? You think ChatGPT is better, so thank you. A sample of 1, but yeah, these guys are playing catch-up, so maybe the best approach is actually to work out where's the best way for you to use the OpenAI tools or the Google tools like Gemini. Because of course Microsoft have rebranded to use Copilot for all of their tools, which are integrated with Word and Excel, and that may suit you better for planning. On the OpenAI site, they've got a nice little case study area which they've updated recently, and I like this example from Moderna, the guys who developed the COVID vaccines. And yeah, this is where they've got an advanced maturity. They've really thought about how it can help their business, and they've put the training and governance in place. So that's their CEO, this is their CIO. And I think that's very, very true. They're not really thinking at a strategic level of how the team can use these tools better. So if you look into the case study there, they're using a lot of GPTs, and they're active users. Now, you're probably thinking, oh, GPTs, that just means ChatGPT. It doesn't. they really need a brand marketer in OpenAI because they're developing all of this jargon. Like, does anyone know the latest model that OpenAI developed this week, this month, which has got better reasoning capabilities? It's got the exciting name of, I can't remember, 01 Mini, I think. And they developed one earlier in the summer that it went from 3.5 to 4.0. So that's a bit clearer. But they've also developed these GPTs, which the important thing here is they're custom versions of ChatGPT that you can get it to do things specific to your company using information about your audience. So you could have one of the GPTs we've developed is to write a marketing brief given the background context. So if you haven't heard of those, they'll hopefully come up with a better name for them. I'd say they're worth looking into. Yeah, so overall, I think we are moving to an age of smarter marketing now, where we're using Gen AI collaboratively, but we also need to think about how we develop these SOPs because we're doing more with less. But I think because of Gen AI, as marketers, our lives in a sense has become more difficult because people are expecting us to do more in the time we have available. And there's maybe generally fewer people in the team. So if you want to download these, I looked at the 7 pillars earlier. This is a much more detailed breakdown available where you can see which areas of your digital marketing you need to maybe need to prioritize. So it's a big Google sheet. It's nothing fancy, but it is useful, hopefully, for looking at where you can improve. So let's have a look at some of the other tools. I find it quite annoying that if you go on LinkedIn now, it's a lot less useful than it was because it's just full of people, the 20 AI tools you must be using, and it's just rubbish. You probably need 3 at most, and you need to use them well. And the ones we've talked about mostly do everything that you need. So yeah, it's have a playbook, decide which paid license you use. I think if you're paying £20 a month for a paid license, you are getting the returns from that, and maybe consider one of these dedicated tools. This one, a marketer recommended, she was like an email specialist, and this one was particularly developed for email. So if that's your main thing, that could be helpful. Now, I've said quite a bit that you need, it's a good idea to have a playbook for within the business, and this is why it helps you to think about how you use the tools. You may have heard people talk about prompt engineering, which is a way of saying let's do smart prompting rather than just arriving at GPT and typing in new stuff every time that's on the stream of consciousness. So one thing we recommend in all our guides is to use a prompted approach where you decide what you're going to do and you just type in those details. And this is where with a GPT, you can do this automatically. You'll be prompted to type these in and it'll be quicker. It'll come up with a better quality email. The other thing which you may or may not know is one of the great things about ChatGPT is you can tailor the brand tone of voice and the market, the audience context for your business. So you have to set up custom instructions to do this, and that's hidden away in one of the options on ChatGPT. But if no one in your company has thought to say, okay, let's do a decent job of this to describe our audience and our market, maybe some people are using it, some aren't, maybe it's out of date, and so on. So there's very simple things you can do to get better use of the AI. So finally, on AI, we looked at some of the other things people were using it for. No surprises, mainly email, SEO, social media. It's a surprise that despite, I saw a great talk yesterday on generating personalized video with AI. Very few people are doing that. or doing web personalization, despite all the tools that we see here. Okay, so in the last 10 minutes or so, I'll just run through these other trends. You probably won't have heard of this. It's a term that's used a lot in the States by a brand called Spark Toro, who are like a digital PR specialist. Rand Fishkin, who used to run Moz, is the person behind them. And it's interesting what they're saying, because there's fewer and fewer people, as they search in Google, actually going through from the list of results, the search, through to destination websites. And we've seen this ourselves at Smart Insights. Like 10 years ago, we used to get maybe 500,000 visits a month from Google in organic, particularly like a lot of students who would search on marketing model concept things, but also planning templates. But now that's dropped, I'd say, in half, and that's because the students are going straight to GPT to get the answers they need. So if you're trying to generate visits from Google, you need alternatives, basically. So these are the actual numbers from Spark Toro. So it's basically saying whether it's the US or Europe, only, let me get this the right way round. Yeah, only 40% of your searches actually result in a click. So almost whatever business you're in, you're likely to be seeing fewer clicks through from Google, which means your Google Ads and your organic search is falling. So we need to think about alternatives soon. And really the answer is what good marketers have always done. They've created engaging brands and told engaging stories and used PR to interact with their audiences. Now, although there's a lot of hype about AI, this is like the counterpoint of what I'm saying. Although everyone's saying ChatGPT is taking over everything, if you look at actual visits to their domain as they're tracked, they're still quite low compared to Google. But despite that, I think there is an issue. Okay, this is like alphabet soup, lots of acronyms here. So you'll all have seen recently these AIOs, as the SEO people call them. This is AI overviews at the top of Google search. So they've only been in a month or two now, unless you were looking at the previews in the States, like I was. So yeah, just interested to see whether you like these as a user. How many of you prefer having these AI overviews? Show of hands. Okay, that's interesting. I'm in two minds. I guess it depends what the query is. But regardless, as in this example, they are pushing our content as businesses down the page. So it's another reason you're getting fewer clicks. But they have recently improved the algorithm, so anything that's in the top 5, top 10 may be featured there. So it's an opportunity featured in Google. Looking to the future, OpenAI are coming after Google, and they've got, one of the problems, of course, is the models are quite dated, and even as old as 18 months, 2 years ago. But they are going to address that with integrating more recent content as well. And they're having this new brand of Search GPT, which isn't launched yet. So watch out for that next year, and that's going to be interesting. As you can see, this is just concert festival info. So yeah, how to respond? As I said, it's basically, it's good marketing. I was going to give you a recommendation. A guy we've worked with when he was at HubSpot, who I really respect, their ex-CEO, Kieran Flanagan. He's a really good guy to follow on LinkedIn, because he's talking a lot in detail about how to respond to these challenges. So you can see for him, it's all about digital PR, influencers, creators, and he's saying businesses, and this is true for B2B as well, they need to try and hire in-house influencers. So I thought that was quite an interesting idea. Get a creator program. So I've talked before about how it's useful to have these standard process procedures and to try and keep on top of all the changes, have a sort of 90-day cycle where you're reviewing and improving. And why we need that, why we need to take that action is from this stat from the report, which, and it goes alongside what we saw with the maturity earlier, relatively, despite all these personalization, optimization, insight tools we've got available, most people can't make the time to use them. So kudos to the 10-15% of people who've got a regular program of structured testing. That's what I call a 90-day planning process. And kudos to the people who do occasional testing. But around a third to a half of businesses just don't have time to make optimization happen. You can still survive as a business, otherwise they wouldn't be answering the survey, I guess.